Now, listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it. Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody. Showtime.
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
7 minutes after 4 o'clock on the 7th day of November in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Mac's World Live on a Monday afternoon. Usually it's kind of, I don't know.
Jovial?
A little more jovial on Mondays because we're back and we're having fun and, you know, it's what we do. But I was at the funeral. I watched it. By the way, Pastor Jeremy, if you're listening, you did a great job. And I've never seen so many people in blue. I've never, the parking lot, I don't know how many cars the parking lot at Hope holds. It's got to be 1,000, my guess is, or more. I mean, it's huge. And anybody like me who is just a general citizen today couldn't park in the parking lot. I'm not saying it was filled by the time I got there. I'm telling you we were not allowed. Well, we had a recovery meeting. We have a recovery meeting there every Monday at noon. It's one of my AA meetings. It was canceled. Because I've never seen so many cars, patrol cars, police cars, EMT, fire trucks, ambulances, black SUVs. It was incredible. I'm not so sure you couldn't have filled Wells Fargo. I'm not so sure this is a funeral that should have been held at Wells Fargo.
The way I had heard it described was that it was going to rival the funeral. If you remember when the police officer in Dallas was shot, you know, anytime a police officer is killed in this way, and it's a national event in a sense, which this really turned into one. Police officers and first responders from all over the country come. I would not be surprised if police officers from the Dallas Police Department were here.
Well, on Channel 13, and maybe somebody else did too, I don't know. We would not allow any television cameras in because we have the capabilities at Hope to broadcast that live. We have our own. And so we fed Channel 13, and maybe 8 and 5.
They did have it, 8 and 5.
Did they?
Yes.
So the funeral was carried live on television for 2 hours. So what do you think of my idea? Here's what I proposed. And by the way, I don't believe in abortion. It's probably the only thing that I'd be willing to probably do something wrong to prevent. I would never bomb a place or hurt a doctor that did it. But beyond that, yeah, I'm that radical when it comes to abortion. And if you listen to this show a lot, you know why. If you don't, it's real simple. I'm an orphan. I found my biological mother in the late 70s through God. Didn't know it then, but through God. And she just plain outright and told me, Mac, if you had been conceived in 73 rather than 58, when Roe versus Wade had been legal, I wouldn't be here. I just heard somebody say, oh, snap. I don't know who it was, but somebody was thinking it would be a good thing if I wasn't here. Was that you, Chris?
No.
Jebediah? Oh, he's on the phone. Go ahead, Frank.
I would have no problem at all with public execution. I think the nation needs to see what everything needs to be above board and transparent. But obviously, the man needs to be convicted in a court of law, then hung.
Right? No, I don't think we ought to. What's that called, Bob? When you go and
vigilante justice.
Yeah, I don't think we should go do that. I'm not saying that at all. That'd be horrible.
Well, and that's part of the reason why he's in custody right now is for his own protection.
Yeah, and then they have to prove, he was the one.
Right.
Oh, See, that's the thing that upsets me about our justice system. He admitted it. Why are we going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for some defense attorney, some probably state-hired defense attorney?
Public defender.
Because there are people that will admit to doing something that never did it. That has happened.
Yeah.
So we have to go in and prove that they lied about doing it?
No, prove that they're telling the truth.
Right, but he's telling the truth.
How do you know?
Then when he gets in, he'll say the confession was coerced. Coerced.
Yeah, right. He walked up to a DNR agent on a Wednesday morning in bright sunlight and showed the guy his ID and said, "I'm the guy that killed the 2 police officers. Can you please call 911?" Okay, we have a phone call on hold. I don't know the name, Jebediah. Who's on the phone?
Russ.
Russ, you're live in Mac's World. What's going on?
Well, I'm listening to your program. I'm in my car, and I hope I'm coming through okay. Sometimes when I'm in my car, phone doesn't work real well. I'm with you. I'm thinking that I know what the Bible says about murder and all this stuff, but I'm thinking that we need to send a message and let's go with the gallows or let's go with the guillotine or something.
Guillotine. I never thought about that.
Let these people know they can't go around killing cops, killing police officers. Murder is murder. And, also, I've heard a prophecy that says basically that the fall of America is going to start with one thing in particular, which I won't go into, but it does say that we're going to have all kinds of murdering of police officers and that stuff, etc. Also, I want to make a comment that I think you guys are excellent gentlemen, excellent radio program over there, and also Bob Montserrat is one heck of a great guy. So just thought I'd let you know that. Those are my feelings, and I'll let you go. Take care and keep going with a great radio program, Mac.
All right, Russ, man, I appreciate it. Love you. Thank you for listening. And it's a good thing he said Bob Montserrat was a great guy because he was right on everything he said there. Because if he would have said, you know who was a great guy.
Frank's a great guy.
Oh! Okay, so here's my... Let's debate this for an issue. Does anybody disagree with me in this room? Oh, I snap. I knew Chris would. Clutch and I are driving in this procession, and we're watching this, and it's amazing. Gosh, I hope they had a helicopter up in the air today. I don't know who. Mercy? I don't know. John doesn't have one anymore. 13 doesn't have one anymore. There's got to be a helicopter, a plane, or something that caught all this on tape.
Or even a drone.
A drone? There you go.
Surely somebody filmed it.
They did, and don't call me Shirley.
All right, Bob.
And Clutch made the comment, asked the question, what will be the lasting impact on our community for this? And it hit me. It ought to be the punishment. It ought to be cowboy justice. When they find him guilty, Bob, I agree with you. I think they put the gallows in the middle of Wells Fargo Arena and you let people come in for free. Now, the challenge I have, and maybe this is going to be your point, Chris. We have a society nowadays that when young people sometimes commit suicide, one of their motivations is the attention they get. Because they see when these kids commit suicide that all these tributes come out on Facebook and vigils and funerals and videos and photographs and music, and that might be the biggest thing any kid ever thinks he's ever going to receive in this world. Maybe he is in this world. It certainly isn't in the next. So maybe the whole gallows thing, the hangman thing, is a bad idea because it would give somebody an idea that if they killed a cop, or 2, or 3, that they too would be honored like that? Is that honor? I don't know. What are you thinking? Why are you against this, Chris? Well, you have 10 seconds.
I've got a couple of reasons. One is the phrase that comes to mind is bloodlust.
Bloodlust?
Right.
Not lost. Lust, L-U-S-T?
Yeah, the lust. And there's a thing inside the human heart that wants to seek vengeance and wants to hurt people and wants to kill people and wants to commit violent crimes. And I think that one of the reasons why in our culture today we don't have executions done in a public fashion like you're suggesting anymore is because it feeds that part of the human that wants to kill, that wants to see death occur, that wants to see blood. And we live in a culture right now where executions are not commonplace. They are not public at this time. And to change that and make them public, I don't think would have the positive impact you would want it to have. I think it would have a negative impact because it would feed a wickedness inside of people. I don't believe that people are basically good. There's an axiom going around in the world. I don't believe that either. Where we think that people are basically good. I don't believe that. I think that people do good things. I think that people are kind to the people they want to be kind to. But I think we're not, in our core, basically good. We have a propensity to do evil. And so if we were to do what you suggest, I think that would be one of the negative impacts. Another one is we're making a spectacle of death. And right now, I think, and Jeb and I, you called us the young ones, we grew up in a world where death was not something that was grievous. Death is something that is almost comical in some ways. I don't even know how many Saw movies have been created. The zombies, the blowing the heads up zombies in video games, all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that to watch those things are bad. I'm not judging people that watch those, but I'm saying I don't think people take death very seriously. So a public execution may not have the positive impact that you would want.
If you've got a thought on that, agree or disagree, we'd love to hear from you. 515-244-0077. That's the number you can call, or you can text us at the Service Legends Truth Text line at 515-809-0993. What did President Leach say at ISU today that's got so many people stirred up? It's coming up next, live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Good afternoon. It's 4:21 in the afternoon. This is Max World Live on 99.3 FM, The Truth. And here's the question that we've got in front of you today. We've got a phone caller as well. But the question is that it was big in the news. A gentleman has been accused of brutally murdering two police officers. And Mac put forward to us this question: should we publicly execute this person? And that's the conversation that we're having.
And I'm not, please don't hear me, that I think we ought to go to public executions on everything. These are two police officers who were sitting in their cars at 1 o'clock in the morning who were assassinated by a man, as far as we know, had no personal vengeance against either one of these police officers.
Vendetta.
Huh?
A vendetta.
So that's the point that I'm coming from. I don't want anybody to hear that I think we ought to go back to a death penalty or public execution or anything like that, because I'm not sure I even want that in life again.
Well, and I think you made it crystal clear that that a real conviction needs to be, he needs to go to trial. They need to confirm that he's guilty and all that kind of stuff. And there's all kinds of factors here. Why did he do such a thing if these two police officers weren't people that he had a vengeance of or had a relationship with or anything like that? Why did he do that? I'm sure there's going to be a lot in the courtroom discussing why he did it, what his mental state was, et cetera, so on and so forth.
All right, Genesis 9:6. And I'm not trying to be a proof texter, because I hate it when Frank does that. But in a way, I'm going to play Frank here for a minute, because I know the Bible talks over and 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 over about love, forgiveness, grace. I know that.
Right.
But Genesis 9:6, and this is a verse that's been talked about lately: whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. For God made man in his own image.
Right.
And then, of course, there's Romans 12:19 that says, beloved, never avenge yourselves. So, what are you going to do? Does the Bible contradict itself there?
No, absolutely not. And here's how we know it doesn't contradict itself, because vengeance is something different than justice.
Right. And what I'm talking about with a public execution is justice.
Well, we need to be consistent then. So here's what I would say. I'm for the death penalty. I think the death penalty is a good thing.
Well, you're from Texas. You should be.
That's right. I'm for the death penalty for first-degree murder. Okay? But if we say we're going to execute people who kill cops, but we're not going to execute people who kill Frank, who's not a police officer, now what we're doing is we're creating more class division, and we're saying that police officers are a greater class of human being, and their life is more valuable than Frank's.
No, I would be okay with that if it was faith-based, political-based, or if it would be race-based. Then I would tell you that you're correct. You don't kill a black man because he killed a white guy, and then when a white guy kills a black man, you don't hang him. I agree with you there. But I disagree with you when you say police officers aren't a different class. They are. They're heroes. They are out there strapping it on, and every time, can you imagine pulling? Just think about this. Do you know what Sixton Euclid is? Do you know what Sixton University is in Des Moines? Can you go there in your head? Sixton University, not a very good part of town. It's 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning, Friday night, and a police officer's got to get out of his car after pulling over a car with 4 people in it, and he's got to go up and say, license and registration, please. Would you do that? I wouldn't. I don't have the gonads to do that. There's no way in this trigger-happy, kill-a-cop world. I think in this case, these cops are heroes beyond, because they weren't engaged in anything other than protecting you and I. Why doesn't that deserve another level of justice?
I think because it goes to the point Chris always makes, that we don't have justice in the country. There's not swift justice, and that's because so many things fall through the cracks that when we see something like this, we immediately want to go the opposite way because there is no real justice, because people end up being endless appeals on death row. They waste the taxpayers' money, and they end up living, and in some sense, you're old enough to remember Richard Speck, Shirley.
Yeah, sure.
The guy that killed the 8
I am,
nurses.
and don't call me Shirley.
that killed the 8 student nurses in Chicago in 1960s. And the guy ended up in prison with breast implants, was doing cocaine, was playing cards, had the life of Riley in prison, and laughing and scoffing at the justice system because how much fun he was having.
515-809-0993. That's the Service Legends Truth text line, sponsored by First Call Bail Bonds, reminding you to not text and drive, which I did the other night again. I've noticed, well, here's what the good news is. Because of these guys sponsoring this, and I read it every day over and over, I'm now aware more when I'm texting and driving.
Yep, thanks, First Call. You got me convicted, too.
All right, Bob, we have a text.
I've got a few.
Oh, a few?
I've got a few, yeah. First, we can thank President Obama and Attorney General Eric Holder for the open season on police officers. And the next one is, Chris is right, in my opinion. Not my opinion, Chris, but the texter's
Sure,
opinion.
you're dead wrong in Bob's opinion.
Bob doesn't agree with that.
Bob and Frank think you ought to be on the right and the left of the gallows.
And this one here, evil sin today is getting too much attention in our media, where that it drives sinners to do more and more because of the attention it or they get. Then, this person here, I think that execution should be brought back. And then the same texter said, watching law enforcement vehicles going back home on I-35. And then the last one I have here is, okay, guys, so please explain the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth versus what Mac wants to do.
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
Well, I don't think it's tough. I'm not sure exactly what the texture means, but we have what you have in an eye for an eye and a tooth for tooth and so on, which, again, go ahead and find that in the Bible for me. But if you want to talk about the idea there, and that's a genuine challenge to the texter, if you could find me the scripture and verse on that.
That says what?
Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
Oh, okay.
But if you take that as a principle, what that is the issue of restitution. We talked about this a few days ago when we talked about the death penalty once before. There is a loss of restitution when it comes to justice in the United States. You talked about this gentleman. I didn't know about him, Frank. This gentleman who killed 8 people and spent his life in prison in the life of luxury, being just bizarre and doing all kinds of stuff. So we don't have restitution. So again, the idea is that if I steal from you, the only way I can pay that back is to give you the money that I owe you. I must be punished, but I also must return what I steal from you. That kind of thing. The ideas of restitution, it's complicated, but it's one that has to be done with clarity, with focus, and with consistency. And so then the question comes, when someone takes a life, how does someone give a life away?
Okay, Chris, I've got the scripture here. Matthew 5:38. You have heard that it was said, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Let me keep reading. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. Anyway.
So I guess the texter, that's the question there is, and this is why I'm glad that I had that looked up, because was that from you, Bob, or was that from the texter?
That's from me.
Oh, that was from you. Okay. Because what you notice there is that Jesus says you've heard it said. Again, that's a New Testament.
Yeah, but your statement was, where is it in the Bible? That's all I was doing.
Right. And so if Jesus was not saying the word says or scripture says this, he was saying you say that. That's a common saying in the culture. Jesus is saying, no, that's not the way this works. And what that is talking about, what Jesus is talking about there, is the idea of vengeance. Right? And that's what we don't want. If it's in a justice system where there's rules and regulations and there's consistency being applied to the situation, that's appropriate. If it's you punch me, I punch you back, that's just violence, right?
But would you agree that society is shirking its duty if it doesn't provide restitution for things. So if someone steals from you and there's no repercussions of it, then that invites more stealing.
Right.
If there's murdering and there's no repercussions for murdering, it invites more murdering.
Yes.
So it's not my job to go out and take vengeance on my own. It's society's job.
All right, 515-244-0077. Do you have more texts? Okay, let's go to Brandon. Is that right? Brandon from Colfax. You're live on the radio. How you doing, Brandon?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. What's your thought on this? I don't know. I want this thing to really matter.
Well,
I just think go ahead.
I was the texter that sent in the evil and sin in our media and the attention and everything.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to give my thoughts on the punishment, eye for an eye and everything. So here's my thoughts. First off, I'm only 29 years old, so I'm still a young lad, have a lot of life ahead of me. And my thoughts are for the eye is I believe in eye for an eye. Think of how much less crime there would be if someone were to steal something and they would lose that hand because they stole a loaf of bread or money from a bank, or if someone shot someone. I mean, obviously they're not going to go shoot anyone again because they chose to take a life, so their life be taken. So I personally believe, in my opinion, that crime rate would probably go down because people would start realizing, hey, if I'm going to steal something, I'm going to lose my hand. If I don't mean to get maybe profane on the show, but if someone rapes someone, you take away their weapon.
Yeah.
And so
that was well said, by the way.
I believe in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another subject. And then going on, what I said in my text message is I woke up that morning and I loved that they were broadcasting the story on the news and everything to make sure that when people were waking up, they knew what happened overnight. But all you see today in social media, on radio media, on TV, newscasts, is all this negative stuff that's going on in the world. All this negative stuff. You don't see a lot of positive stuff anymore. And so all this negative stuff is getting these attention. So all these sinners, all these non-followers, if you want to call them, that are sinning, they see this attention and basically they become addicts of attention. So they put it on Facebook, they put it on, news and everything. That's one thing I like about your guys' radio station is, we do talk, about these subjects and everything, but it always gets down to the gospel. It always gets down back to Christ, back to the Bible, back to the good news of everything.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Brandon. Thank you for listening. And you're a young pup, as you call it, but I love young pups because you guys have except for Jebediah, you have a real handle on this world and what it's all about. So thank you very much for calling.
Well, and I guess to get into something real quick, I want to make a mention is I'm having a struggle right now. I'm a young family of two. Just had our second one back in August, and I'm in a union right now. I won't say which one. But it's very hard for me to be able to pay my dues knowing that they want me to vote for someone else, but I have these views from my church. These are my values. These are my moral views, and I have to basically go against the social norm of what I work for and who I work with. And it's very hard for me to be able to work in that atmosphere, but it's a struggle, but I still do it. So
good. You vote with your heart, cowboy.
Exactly.
Do what Jesus tells you to do. All right.
Exactly.
Brandon, thank you for listening. Love you guys. Yeah. And congratulations on being a dad and a parent and two great babies. Bring them up on the radio someday. We'll have some fun with them.
Sounds good. Thanks, Matt.
All right. I've got Dani holding by. Dani, you hang on. You're going to be the first caller we have on when we come back live here in Mac's World. It's 4:34 on the radio station that always brings you the truth. Yeah, I said it. It's the truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed right or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
4:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Hank the Bible Answer Man. Full coverage of the election tomorrow. Lots of people on now. I want to get Taylor on the air for just a second. Taylor, we're not going to get to the Leith video today. However, we would like you to call in tomorrow, if you will. Can you put him on the air, please? Oh, is he there?
Yep, right here.
Yeah, if you can call in tomorrow, we'll hit this thing within the first hour, I promise.
Okay.
But we just got so many texts and so many phone calls on this funeral today, and I just don't feel like I ought to leave it.
No, that's perfectly fine. And you guys need to take the time to talk about that today. So
Okay,
I'm
so
happy to call back tomorrow.
Yeah, call back tomorrow, and we'll play. And you want to come into the studio tomorrow, you can do that too while we're doing election coverage. You're welcome to do that also. But I promise, I'm glad you sent this to me. I think it's important that we talk about it. It's very important from a student standpoint. We've got a couple more things we got to cover on this funeral thing today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd be happy to even come in tomorrow. I'll be in contact with you guys.
All right, Taylor, I appreciate it, man. Thanks. All right, let's go to Dani. Dani in Ankeny, and it's spelled D-A-N-I, which tells me maybe this is a gal or a lady, a woman. Dani, are you there?
I am here.
It is a woman.
Yes, it is a gal, yes.
How are you? I love that name, Dani, by the way. That's a great name for a lady.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm doing fine. How are you tonight?
Good. So what's your thoughts on this today? Have you kind of been wrapped into this?
You know, this is my first time listening to your show.
Oh, thank you for listening.
Well, thank you for having such a topic on there. But first of all, I do agree with the death penalty. But when one of you said earlier about this is vengeance, it's not, I was trying to think of the way he said it. He said it's vengeance, it's not retribution, or I'm sorry, he said it's justice and it's not vengeance to have potentially a live execution for the murderer of the assassin for these police officers.
Yeah.
I think of the scripture that talks about when God says, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. So vengeance is for him, and vengeance is an act of retribution, I believe. Justice would be for him to go through the system just like everybody else. Now, if we talk about they are heroes, by all means, their son served in Afghanistan for 2 tours. Thank God he came back safe. Some people didn't. I think of people in Afghanistan that were bombed by soldiers, U.S. soldiers bombing them their fellow soldiers? Do we have a live execution for them? I think we leave vengeance to God, and I think we leave justice to man, according to the law that's written. If we want to change the law, I just don't think to have a live execution or something like that, I don't think it would benefit society. I think we live in a society that has gone too far downhill, close to Sodom and Gomorrah of biblical times. And I think to do something like that would almost be a mob scene where, in the private home, obviously, but a mob scene such as people that were, crucify him, calling after Jesus to crucify him and things like that. I don't think it would be a positive experience. I don't think it would be a deterrent. I think it would, for some of the nuts out there, it would probably be something that they could get the next, their name in light.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be something that would be a benefit to society at all. I do believe that the murderer, once he's tried, deserves a death penalty. I think we should have more swift justice. I absolutely think that we take too long, like you talked about the person that was in jail for 8 years and, living the high life on our tax dollars. I don't believe prisoners should have such a good life. I think things should change there. But I do believe that there has to be justice. More swift justice, but justice nonetheless, not vengeance, because that's not our job.
All right, Dani, I appreciate it very much. You call anytime, and thank you for listening to the radio station. Now, remember, Dani, and you're going to hear me say this, I'm glad you like what we're talking about today. If there's a day that you tune in and you don't like it, I want to hear that too, okay?
Okay.
Think about a restaurant when you walk in and you love this meal and you love this meal and you love this meal, and then you get a fourth meal and it's no good, and not only do you not say anything, but you never come back.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I need your input. All right, Dani, thanks for listening.
Okay.
Chris?
Thanks. Bye-bye.
I like Dani's call.
Yeah, I do too.
I do. I agree. It was really funny. I felt like she was reading the notes I had in front of myself. I mean, it really, if we took this incident and we made a spectacle out of it, where we executed this person after he was convicted, found guilty completely, and executed this person publicly, I think it would create a spectacle. I think there'd be riots, outrage, and bloodlust was the word that I used. I think people would want to watch this because they would have a sick rage inside of them to want to see someone die, and I don't want to encourage that at all. Justice can and should be done, but vengeance is different.
Well, executions are witnessed by people.
Yes.
Executions are made public to certain people of the media.
Yes.
And certain members of the family. It would just be an extended family if you made it totally public.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. It seemed as though what Mac was suggesting was making it a spectacle, a public spectacle. And I think that would. I think that there was a time in world history where that would have been fine. I think to do that now, I think we would have far more negative repercussions than we would have positive results from that.
Go ahead, Bob.
I was going to say, part of the reason, too, like when states like Iowa go to life, is to avoid the mistake of a wrong conviction.
Correct.
And the reason that there are many times that it takes a long time for it to actually happen is so that there is time for DNA evidence or new evidence or confessions by the real killer to take place. And so, and on TV, there are people that they find out later the DNA matched someone else, or because they didn't have the DNA at the time or whatever, they had new evidence. So that's a part of the reason why it's not a fast execution, unless there are circumstances where it would be because there's a smoking gun. What I'm saying is the evidence is really strong.
There's a smoking gun here, isn't there?
Well, I don't know that at this point.
Well, he walked up to a DNR agent and showed him his ID and said, I killed those cops. Call 911.
Well, we know that he turned himself in as the person of interest that the police officers were looking for. I don't know that he confessed.
Yeah, I don't know that either. And like I said, they still have to determine if the shell casings from the weapon match the weapon. Are there his fingerprints on the weapon, on the shell casing? I'm just saying.
I get it, and I want that all too. I do. I want all that too.
He had powder burns on his hand.
Well, I'm just saying that I understand anger, frustration, want to get the person and bring about justice right away. But our system is there to keep those that are innocent protected also. So that's why we go through the same things. I'm just saying, making these statements just because that's, the way we do things.
Right.
And don't want to wrongly accuse someone, even though this person may be it, but I don't know that for a fact.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm going to make a snide comment. And I know it's snide.
Oh.
Or maybe snide's not the right word.
Okay.
But I just feel I need to say this. So, making a spectacle of this event by hanging or killing this person publicly, we shouldn't do it because it makes a spectacle and it makes people think that's how they can be glorified, and at the end, that's how they can go out.
That's one thing. The other thing would be that it would create bloodlust. People would celebrate the death. We don't want people celebrating death.
All right. When you use the word spectacle, that's what I saw today. And it was a wonderful thing.
That was.
It was an amazing spectacle. I'll never see 5 miles of police vehicles with their lights on behind a car. What do they call them?
Hearse.
Yeah, hearse. With a man's body in it who gave his life for us. That's a spectacle. Well, gosh darn it. Maybe the other spectacle wouldn't be so bad either.
But that one's good. I think the
How
one
is that good?
I think the one that you observed was good because that's the way that we should respond when a hero, when our defenders, our protectors are slain in this way. We honor them this way, and that's right because we celebrate life, because we value life, because his death was valuable. I mean, his life was valuable, and his death is sad. We don't want to celebrate killing.
5 seconds.
How many people have never seen a dead body? I mean, you need to know what death is, and you need to know why or why not you support the death penalty.
All right, when we come back, a totally different thing, but my tribute to Abby Allen Rice, who also died this last weekend. It's coming up.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids,